All right, here we go. So I'm going to make another video today, but real quick, I'm going to be talking about daily divs, and I want to make some explanations a little bit clear. But first of all, here's where I'm at currently on my CryptoTab browser. I keep this browser running practically every day, and this is the most passive thing I've ever seen or ever done, and I use this browser a lot. I don't have MetaMask attached to this browser, although you can. I've had it on here. I've took it off. It's a Chromium browser, which means it's probably pretty secure. So I just haven't. I'm careful with my cryptocurrency. Right now, I just have my MetaMask browser attached to my Firefox. But I use this browser all the time. This is my primary browser. But I usually get up to over 100 hash per second, but my referrals grow practically effortlessly. I mean, there's 152 active. This is the big number, 36 on my front level. And basically, this happens like I flew from Hawaii back home, a lot of flights, a lot of layovers. It took about 12, 13, 14 hours. As soon as I opened up CryptoTab browser, I had like, I don't know, 70 something. You'll see a little number that will show up right here to say plus whatever, and it was like plus 70 something. Just totally effortless. They just keep signing up, and it's awesome. I withdraw at 100,000 Satoshi, and then I advertise. And so far, I've not added anything to this. I've just used my videos and my withdrawals to advertise, and I've been withdrawing at 100,000 Satoshi to advertise. AdBTC, Easy Hits for You, places like that's where I've done most of my advertising. AdBTC has been the best for me so far. But anyway, links down below. Let's get into this video today. Heads up, daily divs. You gotta give daily divs credit. You gotta give them credit. Their design is awesome. Proof of Weekends P3D is going through a website redesign. I do hope that I'm certain it will be totally different, but I do hope that it's a simple. This is simple. This is easy. I just personally like this design. With that being said, let's get into so. I wasn't even going to make this video, even though I've thought about it 2 or 3 times, and I thought, I don't know that I don't know if people are understanding it. Then I'm realizing as I'm seeing some of the comments on my video, some people do get it, and I think this platform is fine for what it is if you get it. Let me tell you what I like about daily divs. I like that they basically saw the Proof of Weekends platform, and Jason, the developer, or whatever, had some different ideas about it. I don't have a problem with that part. I mean, he wanted to change the fees. He had some different ideas he thought would work better. And I think competition innovation is good. Yeah, did he rip off the original contract? Sure. It's open source, for the exchange part, sure, he made some changes there. But he had some ideas that he thought would make it better. And that's what's fascinating. And I don't think that he's succeeded yet. That's my personal opinion. I'm clearly Proof of Weekends a guy. That's the camp that I'm in right now. But I don't want to be so closed off that I can't see what else is out there, and I can at least give honor to the areas that to someone who's doing some things that are good. No, I think his designs are superior. That's just my opinion, and that's really minor actually. But his exchange game, I mean, it is what it is. I like it. It's no different. I saw Yardy's video earlier. By the way, Crypto Yardy, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, go over there. The guy's puts up good content. He's he's not out there trying to rip anybody off. Just I really like his channel, and I think you'll like it as well. So if you haven't subscribed to his channel, go subscribe to him. But that's where I saw this. I don't hang out in the Discord for daily divs or whatever. I've got enough Discords. Actually, the Discords I follow with my Masternode projects and Proof of Weekends, that's enough for me. I've been deleting some of the Discords I follow just because it can be a big distraction. But they added this counter. This is a horrible idea. Evidently, the community wanted this, but this is horrible. I know why the community wanted this. I've actually thought of P3D doing this before in the early days, but it's a naive thought. It comes from, hey, let's all at the same time do our reinvest, and it's kind of a team thing. It's kind of a lot of fun. It's a group thing. It's a community thing, and that part's good. But here's all that happens. Everybody starts reinvesting early because you're going to earn dividends from everyone else's reinvestments if they wait till this time. This is a horrible idea. This probably needs to get scratched. The community members that actually advocate for this, if they understand that this is used to take advantage of unsuspecting people, they'll want to get rid of this eventually. I don't think this is here to stay. I got to say this though, their contract continues to grow. I heard a YouTuber or two out there say, he was going to no longer promote it and it was going to die. Yeah, he was flat wrong. But let's go back over here to the was it the exchange game? Yeah, the lending. So the question has come up. I've talked about it being unsustainable, and Yardi actually said something in one of his last videos that someone else had said it in my comments, and they said you used an extreme example. And the example that I showed basically was I tried to show an example that if somebody compounds for a very long time, it's going to hurt the platform. Now, here's what's happened in that video. Finally, a lot of people were like, yeah, you're right, that could happen. And they're acknowledging what I think is a fundamental flaw in this platform. Now, please understand, I don't have a problem with the dev. As far as I know, this dev seems to be as honest as the day is long. He has integrity. He's honoring the community, as far as I know, and by all accounts. So I'm not saying this guy's out to hurt anyone. He hasn't necessarily shown that at all. But this lending platform will become a huge problem for him, and it's unfortunate. And I think he knows it, but he's never going to admit it right now. He's too far down the road. But he's basically created something that I don't think is going to be sustainable long term. And I'll explain why. I actually got a diagram, and hopefully I can explain this a little bit better. It does not have to be an extreme example. Now, let me just say this. Some people commented and said, yeah, when the surplus goes to zero, it goes to zero. We don't get paid out the 1.3% every day at that point. We know that. But then some people start to sell. When they sell, their 22% fees will feed into the surplus again, and we'll get dividends. Well, that's true, but the problem is if people don't sell very fast, if they're all sitting around waiting, you're still not going to earn nothing until people start selling. And then they just sell, and then it goes. I mean, when people start selling to refill this, that's probably the beginning to the end for a little while. And all that happens, basically, here's what people need to understand. Let me just say this. Most people, I think, that are first getting in that are new don't understand that if this hits zero, you don't get paid out. And this is very likely long-term to hit zero. And what the dev is attempting to do is to create volatility to feed this. But I don't think that's sustainable, and this is why. I don't care what the math says, because the math can't outrun compounding. This is why. You got to understand, all the lending platform is, let me see if I can get this with a better. All the lending platform is it's a subtle way. Lending platform is like the paycheck. If you work for a business owner, a small business or a company, they pay you a paycheck every Friday. You work there because you want that paycheck every Friday. You work for them, you like the stability, you like knowing that you're getting a paycheck every Friday. But if they can pay you, I don't know, $1,000 a week, I'm just using a round number. If they can pay you $1,000 a week, how much money do they make? They have to make more than $1,000 to pay you $1,000. For your effort, they should earn, I don't know if it's $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for your effort. In theory, now I'm using a linear number, but the truth is they make more from your efforts for them to be able to continue to afford to pay you a paycheck every Friday. They have to make a profit or they can't afford to pay you on Friday. That's essentially what lending is. Volatility, which is the exchange game, the volatility has to be high enough to continue to pay the 1.3%, but it has to pay the 1.3% compounding, and it's the compounding that's the problem. It's what looks good, and the reason it looks good is because it's almost too good to be true. I get what people like about it, but it's the compounding, because what happens is, let's first look at this. In the exchange game, you earn a percentage of profit based off all buys, all sales, and all games. And games basically just create buys and sells, and they all create volatility. So in the exchange game, you're earning based off the volatility directly. Now this is awesome, and this is what's so cool about the smart contract space. Games and applications, when they get to the place, right now Daily Divs is just doing a bunch of gambling games, and that's fine, but when they get to the place that people want to play the games and they don't care, if they can ever create a game that is so exciting that people want to play it regardless of the Daily Divs platform, they just want to play the game, or if they can ever create, and this goes for proof of weekends too, if they can ever create an application that people just want to use the application regardless of, you know, the profit motive, if they can ever get to that place, that is going to be a home run to the next level. And we'll see if that ever happens. That's a big if, but that's going to be incredible. But the exchange game earns directly from volatility. The lending game is really just a trick, because in a way you can't earn on lending unless the volatility is there. But people don't like the low volatility to high volatility. There's days that in volatility you'll make 3, 4, 5, 6%. In theory, in order for lending to keep going, volatility has to earn more than lending. But lending pays daily. And it pays compounding. And that's fine as long as it can keep paying it. At any point in time, so let me do this for a moment. Okay, I hope this makes a little bit, I hope this makes it a little clearer for you. So this is volatility. And this is this volatility, ultimately, the profits created from volatility go into lending. At some point in time, with everybody compounding, there comes a point where when people start withdrawing, they don't have to. I gave an example of one person, you know, just compounding to infinity or for 2 or 3 years and getting these massive numbers. And you already made the same argument that some people made about BitConnect. Yeah, but no one's going to do that because, you know, at some point greed causes people to withdraw. And I agree with that. It doesn't have to be one well. All that has to happen is people have to be withdrawing more of their profits than is coming in volatility. And that's all that has to happen. So with time, as the platform continues to mature, that will naturally happen anyway. At some point, people start taking daily withdrawals. When there's enough people taking daily withdrawals and those daily withdrawals exceed the profit coming in from volatility, which will happen because this 1.3% is paid out. This 1.3% is paid out, is compounded. So on paper, you're compounding far faster than volatility is coming in. Now, what's interesting about Daily Divs, every other Ponzi scheme would just show you this on paper. But what's interesting about Daily Divs is they're showing you the surplus. Right here, this 40%, until more gets added here, and a little bit gets added every day, but until at some point, you're going to see this number going backwards. It has to go backwards if enough people compound enough. And it doesn't have to be large, one person doing a large amount. It just has to be enough. It has to be more people playing lending than are playing the other games. It has to be more people holding the tokens than are buying and selling. Once you have more people just holding the tokens and they're compounding, then that's going to create a problem with the exchange volatility. This is going to create a problem here because the compounding is going to outpace this, and that's going to drop the surplus. So what happens then? If and when that happens, and I do think it will happen, it may take a while. I mean, this could go on for a while, and if you know that, that's okay. You just have to understand that. But what happens is the surplus eventually drops to zero. And as long as you know that, you're like, hey, when the surplus drops to zero, you know, we're just not going to get paid 1.3%. As long as you know that and you're aware that that's a possibility, then fine, play with it. It is what it is. But just know that it's a real possibility. Now, what the dev is doing is he's trying to do everything he can, create new games and whatnot, get more people buying in. He's doing what he can right now to keep volatility high. And to keep turnover high, but there's no game that's going to come out that people are primarily playing these games to earn profits. None of these games are going to out earn the potential of the lending platform. Therefore, everyone's going to be playing the lending platform. Most people are going to be doing lending. And at some point, the cards feed into lending. Every game's going to feed into lending. The lotto feeds into lending. But at some point, more and more people are just putting into lending. And that's good in some ways because it's ultimately going to drive token price up. But at some point, people start withdrawing. And when the withdrawals exceed volatility, and that happens, then surplus drops. And when surplus drops, the reason this is good, the reason this is more transparent than any other lending platform that's been out there, say BitConnect or Devor, all those guys, you didn't see the surplus. So what they would do is they would pay out of money that people are holding. So let's just say you had 10,000 tokens and you're earning, that you've got in the Earn platform. They would show that you still had 10,000 tokens, but if you went to withdraw those tokens, you couldn't get to them. They're locked up. And the truth is they were using your tokens to pay other people. That's why you couldn't get to them. And this platform, as long as that doesn't happen, and I don't think this is a open source contract, I'm pretty sure it's not. But the assumption is that the dev wouldn't do that. That's what the 40% is here. As long as he doesn't ever move tokens, and there's no reason to think that he will. I'm not trying to say the guy's dishonest. Again, he's done everything to appear as honest as possible. But this surplus does go down. It has to. All that has to happen, and I want to make this clear. Volatility and compounding and lending is the only thing that's not directly connected. In the exchange game, you can't earn unless there's buys, sells, or games being played. But lending gives the illusion that you can earn regardless. But it's just an illusion because you can only earn if volatility is being played. So I guess in a way I'm making an argument you might as well just play the exchange game. Because in theory, long term, at some point this one hits zero. And when it hits zero, you'd have been better off to be in the exchange game the entire time. So maybe that's the argument I'm inadvertently making. But the reality is people love the consistency. They love that idea. It's why people have jobs in the first place. It's why they get paid every Friday or once a month or whatever. It's the illusion of consistency and security that people want. That's what and it compounds nicely. I get it. And for now, it's going to do well. And it's going to do well in the short term, probably the medium term. But long term, I just don't think it's going to sustain itself. When the platform matures to the point that people start earning money, at some point, enough people are making enough small withdrawals that because they've compounded their returns, so they're taking out a sizable percentage more than they ever put in. Well, they can't do that unless volatility is high enough to maintain that large amount of withdrawals over time. And maybe that occurs in 3 months, maybe it occurs in 6 months, maybe it occurs in 3 years, maybe it occurs in 6 years, but at some point it does occur. And if you know that and you're part of the platform, that's phenomenal. But that's the part that it's almost like no one's talking about. But that is absolutely what happens at some point. Just the sheer compounding alone, it cannot happen. And the example I used was the well. Well, the reality is the well is the platform itself. At some point, the platform in and of itself, right here, there's a million, and let's just assume the platform is the well. At some point, the well, the platform, whether it gets to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, at some point, the platform starts withdrawing more than it's putting in. And then it's going to be relying on just volatility alone. And volatility is never going to be able to keep up with those withdrawals. I could be totally off base, 100%. But I think people are underestimating how quickly 1.3% compounds. And I think it's months to a year or two before we start seeing problems with the lending. And probably, hopefully what will happen is it doesn't hurt the community too much. People aren't under too much of a false belief, and they'll see that at some point the dev's going to have to make some adjustments. And that's not a bad thing. I do believe daily divs in some form can continue on. I just don't think it's going to continue to be able to pay 1.3% compounded forever. That's just my opinion, my belief. It'll be interesting to see how the community reacts when this hits, say, 0. At some point it does. The dev's not going to be able to maintain 40% forever. The more popular the platform becomes and the more people are compounding. But it's good in one respect because it does lock up tokens and that drives up token price. I mean, the one of the things that P3D is doing that is so cool is they've got all their games, that third-party games, mind you, third-party development, and those third-party games are able to lock up tokens, and they are able to lock up tokens permanently without no expectation of getting them back because of the way the contract works and the way they've implemented the contract. That's cool because it drives up the price of the token. So in the short term, this will drive up the price of the token, or the medium term even, until people start pulling out because they want to return. And then I know someone's going to say, yeah, but that dumps 22% in there of their pullout. Yeah, it does, but that's going to be short-lived too. That only goes for so long. And the devaluation of your token is going to be offset by that is not going to be fully offset by that 22% earned. But anyway, hope that was a little bit clear. It's going to be fascinating. I will say the Daily Divs is the first platform, I think, to attempt enough innovation. By the way, something people aren't thinking about either is, I don't even want to go there. These card games pull from this here. Now, granted, they also add because they buy in, but that's only as long as they're popular and people are paying for them. Essentially, people need to be overpaying for the cards for them to be making a profit. It is possible. These cards can cut both ways for the platform. They can be insanely profitable, or they can be an insane drain. If people get burned enough and they don't buy these cards eventually, then that can be a drain on the platform. But that's neither here nor there. The platform in and of itself is probably not going to be sustainable. But you got to give it to the devs. They're doing everything they can to create valuation, and it's going to do one of two things. It may force innovation in the platform, meaning because they're looking for ways to drive volatility. And who knows? Who knows? I like the design. I like some of what they're doing. I mostly like the design, but I like the fact that they're willing to try to do something different, and they're not trying to. They're everybody, and there's people in the P3D community that would have loved to have seen all these gambling type, lotto type games come out. There's people that would love to have seen that. Personally, I don't think it's a long-term solution, but clearly Jason, the creator of Daily Divs, thought that the solution was a higher fee in the gambling games. I probably would disagree and think more innovative games or more applications actually and lower fees would have been better. But that's me talking. This is him doing. So kudos to him for at least doing it. Right now, it's a high-risk experiment. So enjoy the experiment. Don't bet the farm on it. If you're over here playing, don't bet the farm on it. Understand that this is the ultimate gambling game, and be okay with that. And with that being said, you know, the exchange is an experiment in its own right as well of higher fees. But the interesting thing about the exchange is there's going to be volatility created just because of all the different games. No questions. There's going to be volatility. I do believe this is going to grow. But there's going to be volatility created. I'll just go there. And the price of the tokens is going to go up because the lending platform is going to hold those tokens. So that's a plus. But when you pull out, you know, you're going to get bit hard on that 22% or 25% fee or whatever. But anyway, that's my thoughts. And hopefully you understand my sustainability argument. I'm not saying that it's destined to fail today, but I am saying that this 1.3% daily compounded return is not sustainable for this platform at all. And its main reason, I want to recap the main reason. This daily 1.3% compounded return is being paid out regardless of the volatility. So the goal is to keep the volatility going. It's just like at your job. You get a paycheck that week whether the business makes money or not. But if the business does not at some point make money, you can't get a paycheck. If volatility is not created in some way, then you're not going to keep getting your 1.3% return. When withdrawals exceed the amount earned from volatility long enough, that's when there's going to be problems. And I'll just put it out there. I'll just say, because I know some people think that could never happen, so I'll just say if that ever happens. I do believe it's going to happen one day. That's my opinion, and I would love to be proven wrong, but that's just my opinion. Feel free to put your comments down below. Am I crazy? Let me know. Tell me how you disagree with me. And if you're a YouTuber out there and you want to go out there and sorry, that's my phone. If you want to go out there and let me know why I'm wrong, please put up a video. I'd love to see it. I'd love to respond. My next video will not be about daily divs. Thank you so much.